Hello, everyone. My name is Karyn Fillhart. I am a technology training specialist for Chino Valley Unified. I also used to teach special education and elementary education. So part of my job is to go out and train the teachers and train the students. And I also have started as an adjunct professor. So I noticed when I've gone to a lot of conferences, there weren't always a lot of topics for secondary teachers. So I wanted to make sure that there were tools and resources that you could use, but a lot of these you might use personally, some professionally, some in your classroom, some with your own children. So let's go ahead and get started. The bit.ly is pretty easy. This is a project I did for the University of La Verne for incoming freshmen with neurodiversity, but it's also based on something I did with incoming high school freshmen in my own district. So that link is in the chat, and Myra will be helping me monitor the chat. So she is awesome. Thank you, Myra.
You're welcome.
And let's get my screen shared. Perfect. And then of course, the ever-present, can everyone see my screen question?
Yes.
Great. All right, let me just make sure I've got your beautiful faces up. I always like to see reactions. If you don't have your camera on, that's totally fine. I completely get it. I have been there. This is the first time I have worn makeup in I don't know how long. So you're getting the beautified me, not the me in the ponytail. Okay, so in the bit.ly, at the top of the bit.ly is the short link for it, or is the bit.ly, at the top of the Wakelet is the short link for the bit.ly. And I went ahead and went with the Star Trek theme. And these are tools for school. So these are things that are going to make your life user-friendly. And some of these you may already be aware of, but I wanted to make sure that I kind of pointed them out. My district uses Google and Microsoft. So we're a hybrid EDU district, so to speak, which means when I'm looking for tools for teachers, I'm trying to find tools no matter what platform that they're using. So first of all, dictation. If you're in a Google district, a lot of people don't realize that Google Docs has dictation built right in. I can't tell you how many times I have shared this with people, even people who use Google a lot, and they don't see this icon. So if you look in Google Docs, under the Tools menu, there's an option for voice typing. Control, Shift, and S. This is one of the first things that I show to our students. Now, there are times that you may get pushback on this. So if you're dealing with teachers who may kind of be wondering about all this, here's something I want you to think of. When they're writing, are you judging their handwriting? Are you grading their structure? Are you grading their ability to write a story? And if you're not grading their keyboarding and you're not grading their handwriting, why wouldn't you let them use dictation? Especially because it encourages them to use a vocabulary that they might not otherwise use. The example that I use is supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. That is not a word I would ever try to spell. Actually, I have tried to spell it and then I had to look it up. But if I'm using dictation, the computer most of the time figures that out for me. So what I put in here is the link to using dictation on a Windows computer, on a Mac, and on a Chromebook. Now here's one of the other fun things about it. Many of you have probably been teaching and you've given directions, and then all of a sudden you just finished, you tell them to start, and some kid raises his or her hand and says, "What are we supposed to do again?" So here's why you use dictation. And it freaked kids out the first time I did it, but I just opened a Windows document, I opened a Word doc, and I hit Windows key and the letter H, and I just started typing. And as I typed, it filled in my document. So as you give your directions, everything you've said is now printed, if you're in the classroom, on the screen behind you, or virtually teaching, you now have that document that you can share with them that has all those directions. So again, just go into, if you're using Google Docs, go into Google Docs, go to the Tools menu, and go down to voice typing to enable it. It's wonderful. So the next thing I want to show you is something I learned just recently, and I absolutely love it. So the beauty of Wakelet is I can insert a YouTube video. When I click to play the YouTube video, it opens in a new window. I'm going to pause it. And you'll notice what's missing around the edge. No ads, no junk, no distractions. Now I still can go to view it on YouTube if I want, but I have it right here and I can full screen it and play my video. But there are two tools hidden in here that you may not know about. First of all, this is from my YouTube channel, and I make very basic YouTube videos. Just get to the point, share the tech tip, and get out. No flashy graphics, no, all the flashes and animations. It's just super basic. For me, I have a hard time with a lot of distracting images. And I always try to have closed captionings on my videos, and they're edited closed captions. You would not believe people use auto closed captions, and there are some things that come across the screen that would horrify you if you saw it. When you do that, be sure you edit your captions so your video is accessible. This is for a number of reasons, not only for if you have people who need captions, but people can benefit from captions because it gives them better comprehension when they're turned on. Or you may have students who speak a second language. So for them to hear and see your words at the same time, it increases their literacy. But there's two more tricks to show you. Down at the bottom, there's a gear for your settings button. So let me play the video for a moment. Here are two of my favorite tips in YouTube, so you can hear the speed of my voice. However, have you ever watched a video and the person was speaking so quickly that you couldn't follow along, but you can't tell a video to slow down? Actually, you can. Click on the gear. Where it says playback speed, instead of normal, I'm going to slow myself down to half speed and then play the video again. First of all, now that's a little bit too slow. So let's go to about 75%. It's always nice to have the captions turned on. And I see I'm captioning with Screencast-O-Matic. Leanne said in there, yes, I use Screencast-O-Matic as well. I found I've also used Camtasia, but I find Screencast-O-Matic is more accurate. So here's the other thing. Katie, I see yours. I always speed up, I get antsy. Absolutely. If you're just looking at where a menu is or where something is and you don't really need to hear the person, or you're in a hurry and you need to find it quickly, speed that puppy up. Here we go. Better comprehension. The captions, though, might not be in the language that you need. If you click on the gear, so you can speed it up. Now, I'm going to change that back to a normal speed. Here's the other advantage. In my district, we have a number of different languages. We have a high Spanish population, we have a high Chinese speaking population, Mandarin, etc. So if you click on that gear, you can translate those subtitles. So there's English, but you can go to auto translate and now look at all the languages that you can select from. And then even though the audio won't change, at least they can see the captions in their language. Here in the bottom right, the settings button. And you can see those at the bottom. So that is one of my favorite tools for showing students, whether it's for productivity or whether it's for accessibility and understanding. Any questions about that? I know Myra's been monitoring the chat.
No, it's just comments about you have to pay for Camtasia, but she records there and then captions in Screencast.
Yeah, there you go, Screencast-O-Matic. The other thing that I've used is I've opened up a Word document and turned on dictation to get a transcript. I've used Microsoft Translator, Google Translator. Those are other options for that. And in fact, a friend of mine does that with Zoom. She needs to read lips, which she can't always see in Zoom. So she'll log into Microsoft Translator and open it on her tablet and put it next to the computer as she's in a session. All right, one of the next things I put in here, and this is a whole Wakelet collection called Browser Extensions You Might Find Useful. And what
Can
this
I
is,
interrupt you for 1 second? It
sure.
says, this is something you can teach students to do on their own?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, this is something I have shown freshmen. I've shown as low as fourth grade. I haven't trained a third grade class yet, but that doesn't mean they can't do it. I just haven't done it. But I've done it with as low as fourth graders. I tell you, kids are so good at learning these things because they are clickers. Sometimes I find teachers are afraid to click. They're afraid to break something. Kids will click everywhere. And that's one thing I did with one of my classes this summer is I said, we're just going to open Google Docs and we're going to go to every single menu and we're going to click and just play. And we found the equation toolbar. Who knew
Mm,
there was an equation editor in there? All those
I
different
did.
things. Fine. Myra, did you know that?
Yes, I did know that.
Good for you. Yes. Some of our teachers were like, where was that? I need that. So this collection has some browser extensions for accessibility. One I like is Beeline Reader, immersive reader on websites, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. But some of these are tools that I find students are going to need some help with. A friend of mine has trouble hearing, so she loaded the extension Volume Master, and it boosts her computer volume up to 600% in Google Chrome. So these are extensions to think about as your students are learning, many of them digitally or remotely, what you can do to help them. Turn off the lights fades the area around a YouTube video so you can focus on the video. So this is just a collection I put in there of things to look through. Screen Mask highlights the section of the page where your mouse is located. Now you'll notice I also have on mine, I have a larger mouse because I'm on a Windows 10 computer and that was an option. And with the new Windows 10, you can even choose the color. So I made my mouse nice and big and pumpkin orange. So I put a couple things in here just to look at for browser extensions. Google Keep has been mentioned in a few things. I've shared that with students for keeping notes, because if you have it on your main Google Keep screen, you can drag those notes around. So you could use it for preparing for a report and then drag the cards into the order that you want. There are a few more tools though I want to make sure we have time to visit. So I'm going to scroll down. If you don't already have a Microsoft account, a lot of these tools are available with free Microsoft accounts. So I put in a referral link if you'd like to create a Microsoft account, if you don't have one already, or an Office 365 account. This gives you 0.5 gig more free storage space, so that's kind of fun. But this is the one that I love, Microsoft Math Solver. So math teachers, hold on to your horses, wait till you see this. Microsoft Math Solver, it's an app. It's also a website. So it's an Android app, it's an Apple app, iOS app, and it's also a website. You can type in a math problem. And then click the button. And it gives you examples, but it will solve for X. Not only that, it graphs it for me. I can click on View Solution Steps, and it walks me through how to solve the equation all the way down. I can even take a quiz. I just love that. What? Yes, exactly. I can watch videos on linear equations. I can look up related concepts. Oh, and look, worksheets. Similar problems from a web search, and then I could share even to Twitter, Facebook, and so on. You'll notice there are topics, pre-algebra, mean, mode. Carla, I could have used this in the 80s too, exactly. I hate to admit, my junior math teacher was someone who didn't think women could do math and focused on the boys in the room. And luckily, my dear, dear friend, who is now a civil engineer and female, got me through math as I got her through spelling, because spelling was not her strength. Least common factor, least common multiple. If you have parents who are helping their kids at home and they're in those higher level math areas that they might not know, calculus, trigonometry, algebra. But here's the other beauty that I discovered completely by accident. So I'm going to go to this mathsolver.microsoft.com, and instead of EN, I'm going to change it to ES. Watch what happens. Now I have Microsoft Math Solver en Español. So for my second language students, now they can do it and navigate the page without having to use the translation tool. They can just go to the ES version. Muy bien, very good. Not only that, I discovered, so far I found that it is in Spanish, it is in French, it is in German. So you just need to change and put the country code at the end. And there may be even more, but those are the ones that I've found so far. So you can just go. So since my maiden name is Keck, my father's side is German, I will go to the German one. And I am a bad German because I could not read that except for the ein part. But either way, now you've got that Microsoft Math Solver. But if you are a math teacher, you need to realize that this is an app, this is web-based, again, Android app, iOS app. They can download Microsoft Math Solver. It is free, and no, you do not need an account for this tool. It is web-based. So you can use it on a Chromebook, you can use it on a PC, you can use it on a Mac, your Android phone, your iPhone, your iPad, wherever and whenever you have this tool from Microsoft. All right, moving on.
Oh, you have a question here. Is this non-Mac friendly?
Yes, it works on everything. And so far, Leanne, I found 3 languages. So or 4 languages if you count English. So definitely just try those country codes out. I think the other one I tried was Japanese, and it wasn't in Japanese because I have a friend who speaks Japanese. But either way, some of the built-in translation tools in browsers may also assist, but I thought it was great that it was native. And no worry, there are no bad questions. I laugh. I used to tell stories to teachers of questions that I've gotten over the years, and then I had a teacher say, does that mean you tell my story at another school? So I don't do that anymore, but I will share my favorite with someone asking me how to get the big letters on a keyboard, because they were brand new to laptops back in the early 2000s and hadn't learned, I guess, didn't realize that the shift key was the same on a keyboard and a laptop. So don't worry about your questions. Okay, Sway. Have any of you used Sway? Feel free to use your raise your hand feature or type it in the chat. Sway is a presentation tool from Microsoft that's similar to PowerPoint or Google Slides. However, it does some magical things that are even better. Students like it because they can share their Sway with a link, and then it makes them feel like they've built a website. So when you go to Sway, and I just went to sway.office.com, the very first time you log in, this middle part, start from a topic, may not be there. Hit refresh to refresh the page, and it should appear. You need to see 3 things here at the top. Here is the magic, and I've taught this to as young as 3rd grade. I'm going to click Start from a Topic. Now, since our air has been so bad between the fires and the heat, I'm just going to type in pollution. That's my topic, and I'm going to hit Create Outline. Then I'm going to let go of my mouse and let the magic happen. What this is doing now is it is building me the outline of a presentation on the topic that I entered, pollution. So Sway is much like Google Slides has, you have your cards, your slides. Sway has individual cards. You can add headings, text, images. You can add a heading card, a text card. You can put in images, video, audio. Your students can record themselves and put their own audio in. You can insert an embed code, and you can even upload a file into a Sway. But what I wanted to show you is by hitting Start from a Topic, if I go to play, let's see what the computer built for me. Here's my presentation. It put in the title, which I can edit. I can edit all of this. It gives me the headings of history, urban pollution, forms of pollution, and are you noticing there are images in my presentation that I did not have to put in there? The health effects of pollution. All of these just because I typed the word pollution. Now I can go in and I can insert more and I can scroll down and I can add text. Not only that, it gives me prompts of what I might want to write about. Lists of glaciers in Greenland, prehistoric times, soot, foraging, fire. It's awesome. I can go in and type in text and build. When I'm in Storyline, that's where I can add the information. If I go to design, now I can change my layout. So I can click on styles. And I say this almost rhetorically because I know it's going to be an answer, but how many times have you given students an assignment and they sit there and they play with the font and they play with the color and they change the style and they're there for 20 minutes just picking a font when they could have had most of their report written because they're so focused on changing the layout or changing the font. The beauty of this remix button here in the top right, if you click remix, it reorganizes your presentation and you can just click it again until you see a look that you like. Now, maybe you like this look, but you want it to be horizontal. Personally, I like vertical because it feels like a website. It's very linear for me. But I can also go down here and customize it. I just love the ability to keep hitting remix. Nope, don't like that. Nope, don't like that. Nope, don't like that. And just keep going through until you see what you like. So students have that ability to just remix it and then go back to the storyline. The example that I like to use, especially with younger students, is Disneyland, because it's pretty much a safe topic. I don't have to worry about inappropriate images. Again, I just hit create outline and it builds me a presentation all on Disneyland. It puts in heading cards, image cards, and English teachers will love if I go all the way down to the bottom, it links the references to all those images for me. All right, do you see the beauty of Sway, how easy it was? The first time I introduced this to a group of incoming freshmen, university freshmen, out of all the tools I showed them, this was their favorite because it gave them that kickstart to get their presentation started instead of just staring at a blank screen and not being sure where to start. All right, any questions about that before we move forward? All right, perfect, moving on. I also put a tutorial video in there that shows exactly what I just did. So if you go, what was that Karyn was showing me? No problem, it's right there. All right, the next thing, Office Lens. Office Lens is a free app. It's on your iPhone, it's on your iPads, it's on your Android devices. You take a picture of text and you open it in Immersive Reader. Now, before I show that, I want to explain what Immersive Reader is. If you're already familiar, if you have no idea what Immersive Reader means, can you just put something quick in the chat? Just say nope or no or don't know or no idea. Okay, good. Immersive Reader is, I think it's the biggest game changer I've ever seen in EdTech. It is built into many Microsoft products, but last summer in 2019, Microsoft opened up the tool for any EdTech product to use. And in fact, the minute it was announced, I emailed Google and started begging for it. There is a Google extension, which I'll explain right that's there, but let me show you what it does, because one of the first companies to jump on board to use it was Wakelet. If you noticed in the Wakelet, right next to this big text box, there's a little book and speaker. So I'm going to open it in Immersive Reader. This is Immersive Reader. What it does is it opens it in a larger text. At the bottom, I have two buttons. I can adjust the speed and choose the voice. And when I hit play, it will read it to me.
Office Lens is a free app on iPhones, iPads, and Android devices.
If I need to slow that down, just like we saw on YouTube, I can.
Devices. Take a picture of text.
And you'll notice it highlights each word as it reads it. One of the things I was so happy, and Olivia, who I think is still in here, would know this, that one of my students, university teachers, was talking about how the voice selection has male and female. And when I first saw that, I just thought of it as the pitch, what pitch they prefer. But she pointed out that some students may have trauma in their background from either a male or a female. And so they may prefer to listen to the other voice because hearing one of those voices may cause them discomfort. So I thought that was a great option. But yes, you can switch
Text and open it in immersive.
and have a male voice. Now, here's the other thing I suggest. When you introduce this to students, always let them play. And here's what they're going to want to do. They're going to click here and they're going to go to the bunny. And here we go.
Immersive reader. It will read it to you, and it allows you to adjust the background color, font size, and read aloud.
And you just have to let them do it because they're going to want to do it. Now, there is a link to a Google extension. Here's the issue. It was not officially created by Microsoft. It was actually created by Riley from Pear Deck. It is not official. So not all districts are willing to add it because they're concerned about privacy. But what Riley did is he just created a path to open Immersive Reader, but it is a Chrome extension and it is free. But just know that not all districts are on board with it, which is why I keep begging Google to add it natively. Okay, so here's what else they can do. Up in the top right, there's this AA. If I click on that, I can now adjust the size of the text. So when I don't have my reading glasses, I'm all set to go. If I don't need that increased spacing, I can turn it off. I have 3 font choices. 3 font choices. So your students don't sit there forever playing with fonts. I have 21 themed color choices. And let me explain the reason behind this. I love to read in bed in the morning. When I wake up in the morning, I want to take a few minutes to read. I don't want my husband awake. I don't want the dogs awake because then they're going to want me to take them outside. The dogs, not my husband. So I use dark mode. Less glare. For me, it is easier to read white text on a black background or even black text on a sepia background. I have a cousin that needs to wear literally rose-colored glasses. So she has to be able to have pink tint. No problem. That option is there. Let your students play because they're going to want to play. Now, the question was, can you take Spanish tests and read it in English? Hold on, just wait, you're gonna see it. And also, can it read slides? Yes and no. I think we had to go into Publish to get it to read slides versus just the open, and the same with Google Docs. I think we had to go into Publish to get it to read it because it won't read rich text, which is what Google Docs is. Okay, there's a couple more magic things here. I'm gonna go to the magic wand in the middle. You can highlight the parts of speech. Show me the nouns and show me the verbs. I do this for my students to help them know if they have written in a complete sentence. If it has a noun and if it has a verb, it probably is a complete sentence. Then I have them turn that off, turn on adjectives and adverbs. This does not have a whole lot of descriptive words. So in my writing, I might say, oh, you don't have a lot of adjectives and adverbs. Maybe you should add more of those. However, I've had a number of friends who have color blindness. Green does not work. No problem. I click on that box and I can change it to a color that's easier for me to read. So you have full control over what color you would like. And if you have a student who perhaps has monochromaticism, you can turn on the labels and then you don't have to worry about the color because it puts the little noun and verb right above it. If you have students who are still learning to sound out certain words, no problem, turn the syllables on and it will break those words into parts for them. It gets even better. I'm going to go to the book now. Line focus. I used to take a binding machine with an index card to cut out a window so my students would only see one line of text at a time to help them with tracking and focus. This does it for me. If I hit read aloud.
Speed. Take pictures of your textbook pages and listen as you follow.
And it will only show me one line of text or 3 lines of text or 5 lines of text at a time, helping me focus. It also has picture dictionary. So if I click on a word, it will show me a picture that will help tell me what that word is, or I can just have that individual word read to me.
Pages.
Even better, translate. So I have a student who speaks Chinese. I'm going to go to Chinese Simplified. I can translate an individual word. It will read it to me in English.
Pages.
Or it will read it to me in Chinese.
页面
along with showing me the picture. Or I can translate the whole document with a click.
Office Lens 是 iPhone、iPad 和 Android 设备上的免费应用。拍摄
And again, you can adjust the speed, you can adjust the voice, you can go back and forth between the English and the other language that you chose. Now, when I first started demonstrating this, I'd always ask if a student spoke a second language. And I'd have a number of students raise their hand, and then I'd put it up on the screen and ask them if they could read it, or if it was correct, if it was right. And a number of them said, oh, I don't read it, I just speak it. So now they're using it to learn to read in the language that they've spoken with their families. But my English-speaking students were a little bit disappointed, so I showed them this. I scrolled down to the English section where you can listen to it with a number of accents. So what I showed them was we pulled up a story by a British author, we turned on English United Kingdom, we translated the document, and hit play.
Office Lens is a free app on iPhones, iPads, and Android.
So even my students who were only English speakers had a chance to play with the translation mode. Any idea how accurate the translations are?
Yeah.
I've heard the Spanish is fairly accurate. I've heard the Chinese is accurate. One of the districts that I've worked with has an Arabic translator, and she has told me that the Arabic translations are more accurate than Google's version, because she said sometimes Google Translate doesn't realize that it's reading it the wrong way. So that's what I've heard. But again, it's never something you'd want to rely on, but I think it would be helpful to at least give students a step that they can use, but not rely on it completely. But excellent question. So that is built into Wakelet. So if you attended Carolee's session, you could use Wakelet as your newsletter, show parents how to do that, and then they would be able to translate that. Now the beauty of that, and this is going to take me a moment, what I'm going to do, if I can get it working, hopefully, I'm going to share my phone because I want you to see one of the other things that it does. So let's see if I can get this connected. Perfect. Give it a moment, it's thinking. Worst case scenario, I'll hold it up to the screen or I'll show you the video. But the point is, with the Office Lens app, I can hold my phone over the text, and there we go. Minimize this. Let me move my toolbar out of the way. All right, is my phone showing up on your screen?
I'm not seeing it.
Okay, so let me switch to new share.
Oh, yes, now.
Okay, there's my husband, by the way, in a poppy field. So I'm going to open Office Lens. So if I go down through my apps and I open Office Lens, and next to me, I have a lot of junk, sorry. I thought since it's a Star Trek theme, I would go with the Star Trek Encyclopedia. because I taught Michael and Denise's nephew my first year I taught kindergarten. So I can open this up. I can hold it over text and take a picture.
Captured.
All right, now I can size it for the text that I want. And let's say I just want that section on Stephen Hawking. Confirm. Done. And now if you look at the bottom, now I'm doing this on my Android phone, but it's also on iPad and iOS. I see Immersive Reader here at the bottom, and I can click Read. And now I have many of those tools that we just saw here on my phone. So I show this to students all the time because they can take pictures of their homework and then have it read it to them. I can adjust the text size. I don't need the extra spacing. I can choose the dark font. And then I'm ready.
Hawking, Dr. Stephen William. Himself.
And then have it read. Now, for those of you who are wondering, is this something, what I use to connect my phone to Zoom? I'm using an app called, or a software program called Mirroring 360.
Oh, yeah.
And I love Mirroring 360. I swear it's like $12. You install it on your computer. It allows you to project your phone, your iPad, a Chromebook, a Windows machine, a Mac, pretty much anything that goes online, it projects as long as you're on the same Wi-Fi. And it works great. So Immersive Reader is built there into my phone. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen and disconnect my phone. So that is in there and it is amazing for students. And they were like, wait, you mean I can just plug in my earbuds and listen to my textbook? Yes. Though I do recommend that I tell them all the time, follow along. You will remember it better if you follow along. So you're looking at the words and you're hearing the words at the same time. Okay, Wakelet. The tool that I use to share these resources is wakelet.com. This video walks you through what I just did with Immersive Reader. So any of the tools, any of the time you have a text box and you see this little tool next to it, it will open with Immersive Reader. It also has something called read mode. So I'm going to show you what read mode looks like. When you share a Wakelet, if you share an article, when you hover over the article link, you're going to see this new beta format, and that's called read mode. I'm going to show you what this article originally looks like. So this is an article from Forbes. And it's loading slowly, but normally you see all kinds of ads and junk and distractions. If you're using Microsoft Edge, look at this magic tool up in the address bar. There's the Immersive Reader tool. It's built into Edge. If you're on a Mac, you have your little 4 lines or your AA on the left, and that way you can see it in read mode and it removes all these ads. If your students don't have either of those, no problem. You can share that article in Wakelet. And now that busy article, look what's missing. All the ads. There's just the article and the images from the article that I need. I'm going to scroll back up to the top. Not only that, so I can open this article and be less distracted, but there's Immersive Reader again. I can open that article in Immersive Reader and have it read to me. No extension needed because it's built into Wakelet. All right, so it's really, really helpful. Okay, let's look at a couple questions. Would a dual language school be able to use this to make instructional materials in that particular language? The tricky part is it translates it live. So I don't know that you would really make the instructional materials, though you could copy and paste it into a new document. So that's something to think about because it's built into Word and a lot of the Microsoft tools. So good question. Should I start using Edge instead of Chrome? I love that question, and here's why. there's a new version of Edge. If you look down, I'm not sure if you can see my toolbar, but I have a blue and green E. That's the new version of Edge, and it works with Chrome extensions. So if I change my address bar here, you can see there's my Cami extension, there's Screencastify, there's ClassLink, there's my Wakelet extension. Here is my favorite, totally off topic. If you like to save recipes, you've got to get Copy Me That. CopyMeThat.com. It's an app, it's an extension, it's a web browser, but it's for saving recipes online. And oh my gosh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay, but so all those Chrome extensions that you've fallen in love with, you can have them in Edge. It's the best of both worlds, but you still have that immersive reader tool. The reason why I wanted to show you that article is I'm going to open the original article because now I'm going to show you some other things to especially help those secondary students. Here's the first one, Rewordify. How many times have you read something and it just goes straight over your head? It's like the person wanted to show off how smart they are and use vocabulary that's this big. And after all day of being on my computer, my brain is fried. Troubleshooting all day long, I'm done. No problem. I'm going to take this article and I'm going to paste it into Rewordify. And I can Rewordify the web page and display it or just the text. I want the web page displayed. It now takes any of those words that might be difficult or might be a vocabulary challenge and it simplifies it. Notice all these highlights? If I hover over it, instead of higher education, college. Relationship was correlation. So how much easier would this be, especially for our second language learners? Middle point was originally median earnings. Every year, my guess is it was annually. Let's see, annually. And it will still show you the original word, but they have simplified the vocabulary to make it easier to understand. And it's free. You can paste text in, so you could just take a paragraph that you needed, or you could put the link to the page and put it in there. And there are a lot of other features to check this out. Nothing to install. That's the best part. Nothing to install. It just does it. So I highly, highly suggest you check out rewordify.com. And you can read, and it has all kinds of information about original, rewordified vocabulary lists, a whole bunch of things to look further on in that. Okay, so maybe the vocabulary isn't the issue, but you're on a time crunch. You read the article the night before, but you're about to go into your class to take a quiz, and you just want to give your brain a refresh. Summary, text compactor, resumer will all summarize the article for you. So let's open summary or SMRI. So in here, I can paste in that URL again, and I can choose to summarize it. Let's say in 5 sentences, I want you to summarize that article. Summarize. There it is. So instead of reading all of this, I can get the gist of it here. Now, English teachers, my suggestion is use this to teach main idea. Have your students judge how accurate these summaries are. Let's see what happens if I say 1 sentence. Okay. What if I had time to read 15 sentences? And again, it's got more of that information in there, and I'm loving watching the chat. This is great. So summary does that. What summary does is it chooses by sentences. Text compactor does the same thing, but you choose the percentage of the material. So you can say, I want 25% of the article. So take it down to 25% of that original link. Resumer looks very similar. Resumer also has a Chrome extension, which I put in the Wakelet. All right, I love that. Yes. So let me just give you a moment to just kind of take that in. And we're going to go on to the next tool. So again, help your students remind themselves quickly the key points of that article, or even look at that website and see how accurate it is. I've given you, so Rewordify is for vocabulary, to simplify the vocabulary, great for second language learners or students who struggle with higher vocabulary, or those of us who are brain dead by the end of the day. And then Summary, Text Compactor, and Resumer all summarize the articles, the websites, or text that you paste in there. So this one is on its own. These three do something similar. So you can choose which one you're most comfortable with. Okay, moving on. Let me close those two tabs. Internet search tips and tricks. Years ago, I was fortunate enough to make really good friends with a university librarian who taught me Boolean searches. Like, how many of you have ever used a plus or a minus in your Google search, or quotation marks around words that you wanted together? Anyone? Looking for those Boolean? Okay, good. So what I've done is I've made, again, a Wakelet, and it's just bit.ly/advancedish internet search handout. And what this is this is all those tips that I found for refining your internet searches to help our students. Because if you just type something in and you don't give it any kind of tools to help refine that search, you're going to get a lot. So the example at the time is I did science, frogs, and poison, 64 searches, versus, without the plus signs, 2.16 million Google results. And I do this lesson with as young as 4th grade, and they love refining their searches. The minus search, I noticed, doesn't do it as often for some reason as it used to. I also put in here, Kelly Setting, who I follow on Twitter. Did you know you can create a customized search engine for your students to only search resources you'd like them to go to? Check out her video. This blew my mind. You just add the websites you want them to search, and it creates a URL in Google, so it just searches those websites that you want them to get the information from. So I just added that recently. Yeah, literally she just tweeted it on August 31st, and I haven't even had time to play with it yet, but I wanted to throw that in there because that was amazing. Okay, the tilde, that key in the top left that you never knew what it was. You might not have even known that this is a tilde. It is incredible. It will search for synonyms. So if you're looking for a quiz, maybe you're looking for a test, maybe you're looking for an example, and I just realized I have a typo here, I apologize. But, oh yeah, no, because I put tilde in front of quiz, it will look for if it's called an exam, if it's called a test, if it's called any synonyms of the word quiz. So you're going to get more results, but that's helpful when you're not quite sure the category that the person might have used. Asterisk, I love this one. Example, let's say you knew the quote 4 and blank, but you couldn't remember how many years ago in the famous Gettysburg Address. Put it in quotation marks, put an asterisk where the missing words are, the unknown part, and it will find it for you. This is great for song lyrics that you can't remember. You remember part of the song lyrics, but not the whole, or a quote. Put the whole quote in with quotation marks and just put an asterisk where those missing words are, and it will often find it for you. Okay? Or phrase. I used it before there was the originality reports and Turnitin. I used a phrase search with my 5th graders. They would turn in a report. I'd find a phrase that just didn't sound like their wording, put it in quotations, and it would usually show me the website that they got it from. Domain search. You could search just a domain. So if you know that word or that picture or that information is on a specific website, but you can't find it, just type site : and the website, and then what you're looking for. So I did this because a friend of mine really needed a Clifford graphic, and she knew it was on the Scholastic website, but we couldn't find it. So we did that. This also means you can type for certain types of sites, like you can only search edu sites or .gov for government sites. You can search for file type. Did you know you can search just for a PDF or for a PowerPoint? Any social studies teachers out there that teach about Lewis and Clark? You can search using a KML to find a beautiful Google map of the Lewis and Clark expedition. If you're looking for a book, add the word book to the beginning of your search. I Am a Rock, the book, is different than I Am a Rock, the Simon and Garfunkel song. There are a whole bunch of search tools here, but I highly recommend you take a moment when you have time after this and take a look at those and find which ones will work best for you or for your students. I've also put in here how to search for worksheets, line art. But this is probably one of the most important things, is questions to ask when evaluating websites. When you're evaluating these internet resources, who sponsors or has set up the page? I tell my students, if it says Pepsi is the best soda, and you scroll down and it's sponsored by Pepsi, then you know it's a little bit skewed. Where did the information come from, and when was it last updated? This is super important. And I know there were a lot of articles a couple years ago about the amount of plastic straws that are out there. Most of them were quoting an elementary student's report. I don't remember if he was elementary or junior high, but he was a younger student that did a report on plastic straws, and he called a straw manufacturer and said, about how many straws do you manufacture in a year? And that's the number that he used. So National Park Service, USA Today, all of these were quoting a child's report. So look and see where that information came from. Do they provide evidence to support their points? And who suggested this site as a source? What link brought you to it? Think about those things. I also put a couple more resources at the bottom, including a thank you to Daryl Swarm, who was the university librarian at Laverne at the time and taught me how to use all of these. Okay, the last app I'm just going to mention briefly, but this is Seeing AI. This is only for iOS, so it is only iPhone and iPad, but similar to Office Lens, you can hold it up, it will read text, it will identify money, it has a person identifier. So if you have people in your lives who are elderly, who have autism, who are having memory issues, if you have an iPhone or an iPad, I highly recommend Seeing AI. A couple more resources I put at the bottom. This is my YouTube channel. I don't have a whole lot. I just create videos as I need to or as I think of things. This was a presentation I've shared out with ideas for offline learning during remote learning time, activities for all different subject areas. You are welcome to share it. It's a public link. It can go to anybody. If you send it to students though, because it was made in my domain, sometimes students can't open it. So feel free to make a copy. This is a link to my blog and my accessibility collection. And that's a OneNote I started a few years ago where I put in accessibility and assistive tech for anything and everything. It's not tied to any device or any specific platform, just anything I can find. But I wanted to make sure I saved a few minutes at the end. If we have any questions we need to go back over or anything that you want to get one more peek at or just any comments in general, let me know. But I hope this gives you some ideas of some ways that you can help your secondary students and above. I have not hit a storage limit on Wakelet yet, and I have over 100 collections. So they say it's unlimited, and so far that's what I found as well, because I have a lot. And you can find me on Wakelet, just Karyn Fillhart, Filibuster 3. I think, let me hit my profile page because I'm pretty sure it's just /filibuster3, but I want to double check. But yes, I have a lot, and I've done a lot of presentations on assistive tech and special ed. So if you need anything, I am a happy sharer. Just send me a message. You can DM. My Twitter DMs are totally open. Most of my collections are open and available for copying and sharing. So again, just @filibuster3. So wakelet.com /@filibuster3. Oh, thank you, Sarah. Oh, thank you, everyone. That's really nice. Yes, I was so excited. Kristen, who helped organize Edcamp, and I did a podcast with Sarah. That was great.
Oh.
Yes, Olivia, good to see you. Oh, thank you. I love seeing all the comments. I have a second monitor, so if you see me looking to the side, it's because I'm looking at all your comments. So thank you. And thank goodness for extra TVs from your father-in-law that work as a second monitor. It's been great. And if you're interested in what I use to share my phone, it's just if you go to mirroring360.com, they have a free 7-day trial. So you can try it out and see if it works. There's a couple other programs that do something similar, but that's the one that I use, and I've been really happy with it. But again, there are several, I'm not thinking of any of them off the top of my head, but I know I've used others. And but that one was cheap. You load it on your computer and it's good to go. Sarah, I love that. I kept messaging my co-teacher, wow, and can't wait to try. That's great. Now I need to process. Yes, it's a lot. And again, DM me at any time. If there's any of these tools that you want to know more about, I am very happy. I'm on Twitter, probably way more than I should be, but.
Okay, just so you know, lunch is from 1 to 1:30, and we'll start back up again at 1:30.
Thank you, Myra, for moderating. It was great.
You're welcome. You caught most of the questions, so it was easy.
I'm so used to doing it, but it was nice that I didn't have to stress if I missed something. If anyone else has questions, I'll stay in for a few more minutes. Looks like we're through all the questions.
Yeah. Okay, for those of you that I just let in, this is lunch from 1 to 1:30, so I will be shutting down the Zoom.
Thank you again, everyone, for coming. Those of you who are still in, and thank you, Myra, for moderating. I really appreciated it.
You're welcome. I enjoyed this session. It gave me a lot of ideas.
Had you done Microsoft Math Solver? Had you seen that one?
You know, they had one a long time ago. It was called Microsoft Math that I used, and then it went away. So I'm wondering if this was kind of the replacement for that. But I've not used Microsoft Solver. The only thing I'm disappointed about, I have a lot of Korean students, and they don't have it in Korean.
Oh.
Because I checked. There's 22 languages, and one of them is not Korean.
Maybe just the Google translation would work to translate the page?
Yeah, possibly.
Okay. All right. Have a good lunch.
You too. Bye.